If only one or perhaps two are there, it's okay. We'll make a beginning. श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किकेसरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदाहृदि ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तत्तराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीमद्रमाधवोपज्ञां परम्परां कुर्वे लक्ष्मणसिद्धान्तकारिकां कारिकावलीं सभायै. We are going through the text by name Vedanta Karikavali, and we have reached the chapter on Dharma Bhuta Jnana. Dharma Bhuta Jnana is a jnana with which, the Jivatma, or rather the Atma, according to Vishittadvaita Siddhanta, is a jnana swarupa. Besides being a jnana swarupa, it is endowed with another jnana, which is called as its swabhava or dharma, with which it becomes aware of the world outside. With the swarupa jnana, it is aware of itself. With the swarupa jnana, it is aware of itself. Over and above the swarupa jnana, there is one more jnana which it is endowed with, which is termed as technically dharma bhuta jnana. And with this dharma bhuta jnana, it is able to know the external world and interact with it, let us say. Okay, so we just go through quickly the previous session. Though this chapter is on dharma bhuta jnana, yet the upaya for liberation or moksha, that is also discussed here, because dharma bhuta jnana is a very fundamental premise upon which many things are built. In the Vishittadvaita Vedanta, bhakti and jnana are not different. There is no difference between the terms bhakti and jnana. The dharma bhuta jnana itself, in a different state, it becomes to be called as it is called as bhakti, and therefore jnana and moksha holds good. But the mere jnana does not become the direct means, but what it does is it prompts the jivatma to adopt an upaya or means, which is either bhakti yoga or prapatti yoga. Either bhakti yoga or prapatti yoga, when adopted, it pleases the Paramatma, then Paramatma grants moksha. Okay. But what is bhakti yoga? Bhakti yoga is as taught in the Bhagavad Gita. It has karma yoga and jnana yoga as its auxiliaries or subsidiaries. One has to begin with karma yoga, for which one must be born within the first three varnas as a male, so that he can get initiated into the performance of karmas. And then when he succeeds in karma yoga, he gets the opportunity to get established in his swarupa jnana, which means the dharma bhuta jnana does not go out now. It just stays focused on the jivatma, on its own self. The climax would be that the jivatma, when its awareness is fixed within itself, then it becomes to realize the presence of Bhagavan or Paramatma, and then it let us say it has supreme bhakti towards Bhagavan, and the culmination of bhakti yoga would lead to moksha. Okay, so bhakti yoga is it is a very complex process. Almost we can say it is not possible these days according to its definition, because it involves the Ashtanga yoga as delineated in the Yoga Shastra, and this is the proposition of Vishittadvaita. And yeah, one has to do karma yoga to clean up one's, let us say, the antakarana, upon which the ability to stay fixed in the question. Hello. Hello. Can you type your question? Hello. The hand raised. Can you please type your question? Okay. It's a mistake. The hand is raised. Once the Antakarana is purified, then the Jivatma becomes eligible to perceive its own self, and then that in turn gives an opportunity to perform Bhakti Yoga. So either Karma Yoga leading to Jnana Yoga, leading to Bhakti Yoga, or if the Jnana Yoga is inbuilt in Karma Yoga, if the Jnana Yoga is adopted within Karma Yoga, then that leads directly to Bhakti Yoga. But even before embarking upon Karma Yoga, one has to have the basic understanding about Atma, that Atma is different from Sharira. It is Nitya, Sharira is Anitya, and so on. That is why Lord Krishna, he begins his teachings in the second chapter by educating Arjuna about the nature of Atma and Sharira. Then he recommends Karma Yoga to him. So this is a snapshot, either beginning with Karma Yoga, in which the awareness of both body and more of body and let us say very less of Atma is there. Then the maturity comes in Jiva and the Jnana Yoga, wherein more of Atma, the awareness is more on Atma and less on body. And in Bhakti Yoga, the awareness is more on the Paramatma, so to say. Or when Karma Yoga includes Jnana Yoga, the right side picture, directly leads to Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Now, so this we saw about what Bhakti Yoga is. It is on the same lines as Ashtanga Yoga: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. But only thing is, now here in Bhakti Yoga, the object of meditation is Paramatma or Vishnu, to be precise. Okay. Now we will go to today's presentation. We are on 12th Karika. Questions are there. Okay. Hello. Bhakti yogoyamashtango vichhinna smriti santatihi viveka adhivirutpadhya darshanakarata gata. What is Bhakti Yoga? It is Ashtanga Yoga and Avichinna. Vichinna means interrupted. Avichinna means uninterrupted. Smriti Santatihi. Santati is the continuous the continuity basically. Therefore, the ability to hold on to the memory of a particular object without any interruption, that is the end of Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Now, and that is generated by Viveka, etc. This we saw in the last class also. Yeah. Anantaram Bhakti Yogam Rakshayati Bhakti Yoga iti. I'm reading the commentary. Ashtangaha Yama Niyamadi Ashtanga Yuktaha. That's the 8 angas of the yoga. Tailadharavat Avichinna Prasara Viveka Vimokabhyasa Kriya Kalyana Anavasada Anudharsha Rupa Sahakari Kalpa Kalapat Paripushya or Paripushya. Now the Tailadhara, we explained in the last class, the flow of oil. The flow of oil is very continuous. It's not like water, and that flow of the Dharmabhuta Jnana, the Smriti, is further enhanced by some qualities called as Viveka. Viveka means maintaining purity by understanding one's own placement. in the society. Then yeah, vimokha is giving up desires basically. Then abhyasa means the practice of dhyana. Then kriya means doing the karma, prescribed karma, still performing them up to the capacity. Then kalyana means talking all only nice things and positive things, okay, like truth and those things. Then also not doing any himsa. And anavasada means having no hidden desire or whatever, okay. So base and also anudharsha means lacking the laukika happiness basically. So it is like staying not having any sukha or dukkha, not showing sukha or dukkha explicitly for laukika reasons. So these are the 7 factors through which a darshana samana karata. Darshana samana karata means getting a glimpse of the Paramatma Anubhava. Vishittadvaita maintains that it is not possible to experience Brahman in its entirety, even or rather by being in the body. That's why Jivan Mukti is not accepted in Vishittadvaita, because here there are limitations, and what is possible is getting a glimpse, getting a minute yet potent anubhava of Brahman. That is called as Darshana Samana Karata. Darshana Samana Akarata. Prapita Smriti Santatireva Bhakti Yoga Ityartha. So that Samadhi is actually being firmly established in a state where one gets a glimpse of the Paramatma. Vastunaha Santatam Avyagra Manasa Chintane Tade Vastu Pratyaksha Drishtimiva Bhavati iti Anubhava Siddham. Yeah, the commentator says it is experienced by us when we constantly think upon something, then everywhere suddenly the mind throws up the same object basically. So that's what he gives an example. Now tattat sharirāvasāna samaye parināmini seyam sadhana bhaktihi syat prapatyangavati mata. Now when does the bhakti yoga basically it matures? When does the bhakti yoga attains full maturity? It can attain full maturity only with the only with the fall of the body, or rather bhakti yoga has to be practiced until the fall of the body. That's what it's trying to say, okay, because it does not happen before. Bhakti yoga is an almost a thing which one has to continue until the passing of prana. Seyam sadhana bhakti. Now sadhana is means. Now this is linking to the word bhakti. Now bhakti yoga is also called as bhakti, okay, in technical terms only. Sadhana bhakti means now this bhakti yoga, this bhakti towards Brahman becomes a means to attain moksha, and it has prapatti, has its anga, which we will see later, I mean the commentary. So the two things which you have to note down: the bhakti yoga is basically called as sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means this bhakti becomes a sadhana. There is one more bhakti possible for people who take up prapatti. They become prapannas, and they can also have experience that kind of bhakti which is experienced by bhakti yogins. Now that bhakti becomes sadhya bhakti, because that bhakti is not developed or maintained with an intention that is going to get me moksha, that going to get one moksha. There it is only anubhava. That is called as sadhya bhakti or phala bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is, let us say, the bhakti anubhava, but still with a idea or intention that, with a notion that this bhakti is going to get me moksha, which means this bhakti is a means. Now sadhya bhakti is a phala bhakti. There it is bhakti for the sake of bhakti. Like Andal, she says in Tirupavai, Povan Pogindrare, which means you go for walking for the sake of walking. You don't take a cell phone with you, don't take some other things. so that you can make use of walking as a purpose to do something else. Why do you go for walking? I go for walking because I can get these things, get these things done. I can go to the shop maybe. Now, when bhakti done for that purpose is called a sadhana bhakti, whereas walking for the sake of walking, I enjoy. That's it. Now that becomes sadhya bhakti or phala bhakti. Now, I'm reading the commentary. Sacha bhakti yoga tattat charirāvasāna samaye eva paripākāvasthām upetya sadhakasya samsiddha bhavati. That bhakti yoga, when does it become paripakva? Only during that tat charira avasana samaye. Avasana means end. So when the fall of the body, when that approaches, only at that time that bhakti yoga becomes samsiddha, becomes accomplished. Okay. Now, ataha sa sharirāvasana paryantam anushtayaha. So the corollary is that bhakti yoga has to be practiced until the fall of the body. It's very important. That's why bhakti yoga is very difficult these days, especially because even to practice when we are all fit, when we are all capable, it's difficult. But then it requires, it demands such a strictness that we have to do it until the last breath. Let me put it in the slideshow. I forgot to put it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now this should be clear. I'm just reading it once for the sake of clarity. Tattat charirāvasana samaye parinamini seyam sadhana bhaktihi syat prapatyangavati mata. Until the fall of the body, it has to be done, or rather, it fructifies only at the end of the body, fall of the body, and that's called as sadhana bhakti. And it has prapatti as its anga or a subsidiary, which you'll see now. Ataha saha sharirāvasana paryantam anushtayaha. Therefore, bhakti yoga has to be carried on, continued until the fall of the body. Tatacha shrutihi sakkalvevam vartayanne yavadayusham brahmalokam abhisampadyate nacha paravartate iti. So Shruti says, Shruti conveys his idea through its statement that Sakalu Evam Vartayan. The sadhaka, he remains in this fashion, in this manner, by practicing Bhakti Yoga, Yavad Ayusham, until his life, the last moments of his life, and then he attains Brahmaloka. Here it is Moksha. Abhisampadhyate, nacha pranadavat. It does not return. Nacha pranadavartate, nacha pranadavartate. It does not return. Then it is actually prayananta, not prayananta. Prayanantam omkaram abhidhyayita iticha. There is an injunction which says one has to meditate upon the omkara, the pranava mantra, until the departure of the atma from the sharira. Sutrakara opi. Sutrakara is the Brahma Sutrakara. He also says again prayanat. This is a typo error which is found in the book also actually. This is prayanat. Prayanat tatrapihi drishtam ityaha. Prayanat means until the departure. Sutrakara also adds the fourth adhyaya. Brahma Sutra has 4 adhyayas. The first two adhyayas, they are about Brahman. The third adhyaya, it discusses the means or upasana or bhakti yoga according to Vishuddhadvaita. And the fourth adhyaya, it talks about the phala or the journey of the jivatma to liberation or moksha to Sri Vaikuntha. Iyam purvam upavarnita sadhana bhakti ityuchyate. Now, this is what is known as sadhana bhakti because bhakti becomes a means. Sacha prapatyangavati bhavati, and that takes prapatti as its anga. Bhakti yoga vinishpattaye bhagavantam uddishya prapatti tadangataya kartavya. Now the understanding is that Bhakti Yoga is a journey basically, and it has 8 steps. It begins with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, and so on. And the understanding is that one may face difficulties in certain areas of performing Bhakti Yoga. The basic understanding is that a Jivatma has Anadi karma or papa to be precise, which stand in the way because The Jivatma is a Jnana Swarupa and he has Dharma Bhuta Jnana which can also spread everywhere basically. But then being of such a nature, yet he is in bondage. Why? Because of the Anadhi Karma or Papa. So when somebody wants to change for good, there are so many factors which come as hindrances. Why that is? Why it is because of the Papa or Karma. This is for even ordinary even to give up a bad habit, let us say in life, practically psychologically, one wants to take up a bad habit, it becomes very easy. It's a ice cake, walking on ice cake or whatever. But when one wants to give up a bad habit, there are so many challenges. If that is the case for let us say giving up a bad habit, performing bhakti yoga, now it has so many hindrances. So one may choose to perform prapatti or sharanagati to make progress or to move from one stage to another in bhakti yoga. Now that prapatti, that sharanagati is done only for that purpose. That is to seek a helping hand when climbing stairs. Maybe you're not able to climb the next step. So during that time we seek help. Now when prapatti is done in this like in this manner, it is called as anga prapatti. The Jivatma is still doing Bhakti Yoga only, but when he faces difficulties, he does Prapatti to sort out that difficulty. This is similar to Yoga Sutra, where there is a sutra called as Ishvara Pranidhanatva. The 23rd sutra, I think. Ishvara Pranidhanatva. Patanjali Maharishi discusses the Yoga Sutra, or rather, he teaches the Yoga Sutra. He talks about the role of the individual Atma, the Purusha. But then suddenly he says Ishvara Pranidhanatva, which means one can seek success in yoga by surrendering to Ishvara also. And then he goes on to describe who an Ishvara is. The same way this can be taken here, that prapatti when done to make progress in Bhakti Yoga, it is called as Anga Prapatti. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga has prapatti as its Anga. Tena cha prasanna bhagavan pratyuhan nirasya. Pratyuhan is the difficulties or hindrances. Bhagavan, what he does is he becomes pleased with the prapatti of the Jivatma, and then he destroys the obstacles. Then Bhakti Yogam Yathavata Paripurnam Karoti. Then he facilitates the completion of Bhakti Yoga. Tadaha Bhagavan. Bhagavan, he says in Gita, one second. Yeah. He says in Gita, Devi Hyesha Gunamayi Mamamaya Duratyaya Mamevi Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Bhagavan, when he elucidates the Bhakti Yoga, the concept of Bhakti Yoga to Arjuna, in between he brings in the concept of Prapatti in two to three places, where he says, Arjuna, Bhakti Yoga is not that easy because my Maya is there. Here, Maya is not the illusory power, Maya is the positive power of Bhagavan, which is Prakriti basically, with which he, so to say, it creates ignorance in the minds of in the jivatmas basically. The prakriti, what it does is it shields the right jnana from the jivatmas, because one question that we may ask is that the Paramatma is so self-revealing, so effulgent and so on. Shri Vaikuntha is also so effulgent and so on. Still, we are not able to see, we are not able to perceive, or we are not able to know or realize. Why? Because it is like this. When we cover our, when we place a very opaque object near our eyes, very close to eyes, you won't be able to see even the sun. That though this is small, still this has the ability to block such an effulgent object. The same way, Prakriti is basically our Sharira. Since we have so such a close affinity with the Sharira, that we are not able to see beyond this Sharira. Only when we get the ability to go beyond the Sharira, then things become, we are able to, or rather we gain the ability to be aware of things outside the scope of Sharira. So Bhagavan says, this Gunamayi Maya, that's the adjective he puts, Gunamayi Maya. We have to take note of it, not the Maya as suggested by other schools, but Gunamayi means Prakriti. Prakriti has the Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunas. So what Prakriti does is, it shields the intellect of the Jivatma. But those who resort to me, Mameva ye prapadyante, those who resort to me, they they are the ones who cross the ocean of samsara, or they transcend the maya. Te etam mayam taranti. Iti. Evam cha prapattihi dvida. Now, prapatti is twofold. One is anga prapatti, angi prapatti. Anga prapatti is what we just saw, that which is done within Bhakti Yoga to move from one stage to another. Angi Prapatti is performing Prapatti for the sake of moksha itself, rather than to uh, do it to facilitate the process of Bhakti Yoga, doing it directly for moksha. Now we may have a question here: why should there be two kinds of Prapatti? There could be one which has rather the Angi Prapatti makes more sense. Why would one do Anga Prapatti? Let me share a small story so that it becomes perhaps it makes it interesting. Prapatti is not an easy upaya. It sounds a very easy upaya, but it is not so, because Prapatti requires, surrender requires what is called as unconditional faith, Mahavishvasa. It's a story of a man who goes for trekking, and it becomes the twilight, the evening time, wherein sun is setting and darkness is just setting in. Okay. Now, as he is trekking, he is very careful man. Okay, he takes care of himself. So he ties a rope to his belly, and he has already linked it to a huge rock or something. Okay. As he is walking, he tumbles, and as it becomes dark, he falls from a cliff. Now the rope is a long one, so he is falling. It's a free fall, but still the rope is there. And suddenly he shouts, "Oh God, please help me!" Now the rope stops somewhere, and he is hanging. He is loosely hanging like a jula, and it's completely dark now. He does not know at what level he is hanging. Is it closer to the ground or not? He doesn't know. Then when he shouts, "Oh God, please help me!" then he hears a voice, "Oh my child, let me help you." So this fellow is very happy. Then he says, but God says, but one condition. Now this fellow says, what is the condition? Then God, the voice says, cut the rope. Okay, if you cut the rope, I will help you. Now this is the situation in our lives, that we all have our own jnana and our own, let us say, confidence, and so many things in life, that our ability is there. So we don't want to give that up, because we know that's what is going to help us. That's what is going to save us. The muyarchi that we say, the efforts that is put in by us. But here Prapatti demands giving up of that conscious effort to save oneself. Now that story we're not going to continue, whether that person who he cut the rope or he just held on to it. It can end in two ways, that he refused to cut, and perhaps he died in fear, or he refused to two situations within refusing to cut in a sense. And then the morning he says it's very near the ground or whatever. Okay, but the idea is that cutting the rope, that's very difficult. So some people would continue to hold on to the rope and then seek help. That's like performing prapatti for bhakti. But doing absolute prapatti for moksha is like cutting the rope, which is it demands a higher level of vishvasa, mahavishvasa in the Paramatma. Now, when such a person who has that mahavishvasa and he does prapatti through an acharya for moksha, then that prapatti is called as angi prapatti. because it has some other angas. It has some other angas which we will see. Now, bhakti yoga angataya anushtita anga prapattihi. Bhakti yoga anadhikaribihi swatantrataya anushtita angi prapattiriti vivekaha. Now, here there is a distinction between the two upayas. Those who are able to take up bhakti yoga should do bhakti yoga. Who are not eligible to take up bhakti yoga can take up prapatti yoga. Therefore, the anga prapatti is usually taken up by people who are eligible to do bhakti yoga. Who are not eligible, who are not adhikaris for bhakti yoga, they resort to angi prapatti. That's the viveka. तथा च अंगतया वा अंगितया वा यथा कथंचित् भगवन्तं प्रपद्य एव मोक्षप्राप्यः नान्यथा इत्युक्तं भवति. Therefore, what we learn from here is that either prapatti is done as an anga or angi without the, the pleasing of Bhagavan. Because here, Mamevya prapadyante maya metam tarantite is the words of Bhagavan, Krishna. If you accept Krishna Paramatma and then if you believe in these words, then it becomes clear that without pleasing Bhagavan, either through Angi Prapatti or Anga Prapatti, moksha is not possible. Only when he is pleased, we can get moksha. Tatachaha Vedanta Tattvasara Varshuko Vedanta Deshika. Vedanta Deshika is another Acharya, a stalwart after the times of Ramanuja. He says, Prapannat Anyesham Nadishati Mukundo Nijapatam. So, either this way or that way, either Anga Prapatti or Anga Prapatti, without Prapatti, Mukunda. The term Mukunda itself is a very interesting name. Mumcha Kumcha Dhati. He grants the Prakrita pleasure as well as moksha. That is what this name Mukunda means. He gives the, if you ask for material pleasure, that is given, Swarga, etc. Even moksha, he will give that also. That's the name Mukunda. So Mukunda Nijapadam, he gives moksha only through Prapatti and not the other way, or not in any other way, not through any other way. फलभक्तिस्तु भगवद अनुग्रहकृता भवेत् अतएव हरि साक्षात् सिद्धोपायत्वमश्नुते. Now, phala bhakti is what is called as sadhya bhakti, which we saw before. Bhakti is sadhana bhakti and sadhya bhakti. Sadhya bhakti is phala bhakti. Bhagavad anugraha krita bhavet. It is normally if you can hear these words in Sri Vaishnava circles, that people say often, Bhagavan will give you moksha, but he will not give you bhakti. Getting bhakti or developing bhakti for Bhagavan is the most challenging thing. So that's how the greatness of bhakti is extolled. So phala bhaktistu Bhagavad anugraha krita bhavete. So the sadhya bhakti is quite difficult. Only Bhagavan has to give. Such is the greatness of bhakti or difficulty. Therefore, Hari is called as Siddhopaya. This we saw in the last class. Upaya is considered to be twofold, Siddha and Sadhya. The Siddha Upaya, Ishvara, when he becomes pleased with the Sadhya Upaya, that is Bhakti Yoga or Prapatti, he grants moksha. Commentary. Evam Bhakti Yoga Rupam Sadhana Bhakti Upapadya Prapatti Yoga Rupam Sadhya Bhakti Maha. So Phala Bhakti can be equated to Prapatti. Now Prapatti is being explained. Phala Bhaktistu iti Bhagavad Anugraheti. Now this is not something which is not in the Vedas. Okay, so the commentator cites evidence. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yame vaisha vrinute tena labhyas tasyaiva tasyaisha atma vivrinute tanuguswam. This is there in the Upanishads, and this makes more sense only for Vishishtadvaita, because they have so to say they have based their philosophy on the Vedas or the complete meaning of the Vedas. So yam eva esha vrinute. Whoever Brahman chooses, only by him moksha is attained. This is the statement of the Upanishads. Therefore, this is one, because Atma cannot be realized through pravachana or by intellect or just by listening to it. The same idea is mentioned in the Gita also. Bhagavan says there also. This is one. Next is Jayamanam hi Purusham yam Pashyan Madhusudanaha Satvika Satu Vijnaya Savai Mokshata Chintakaha. This is from another Smriti. I think it's a Purana, where it says only when Madhusudana or Vishnu, his grace falls upon a Jivatma, only he will think about moksha, etc. And then he will resort to a upaya to secure moksha. Therefore, what these two statements say is that the uh, the grace or the pleasing of Paramatma or Hari or Madhusudana is very important. Okay. Ityadi Shruti Smritibihi Yasmin Bhagavad Anugraho Bhavati. In whoever Bhagavan's Anugraha dawns, Saeva Sadhya Bhakto Pravatata Nanya Ityartaha, Na Anya Ityartaha. Now, the commentator in fact qualifies this to extol Prapatti. So, one will resort to Prapatti only if he has the Anugraha of Bhagavan. Because as we said earlier, Bhakti Yoga is keeping in mind one's own ability, believing in one's potential, etc., etc. But whereas Prapatti is giving up even that. Prapatti is just giving up everything, surrendering everything to God, and then saying to Paramatma or Vishnu, saying, "Now you have to save me." Anena Prapanneshu. Let me make one thing clear here. Prapatti is not taught in the Sampradaya. Prapatti is not, rather, it is taught only when a person who wants to know approaches a guru in private, and only then it is taught. It requires, because Prapatti is considered to be a Gopya, something which is guarded, and it is not normally explained completely through media like this. Therefore, let me try to explain whatever I can. The rest one has to approach Acharya and then know about Prapatti. Okay. So if you have any very deep questions about Prapatti, I may not be able to answer it through this medium. But what Prapatti is a alternate means to attain moksha, and the other one is Bhakti Yoga. Now, Anena Prapanneshu Bhagavad Anugraha Paushkalyam Muktam Bhavati. Therefore, Krishna again hints upon this in Gita itself. Jnani tu Atmaiva me matam. Krishna, what is there? It is interpreted as Bhagavan. He nourishes the Prapannas more, or he cherishes the Prapannas more. Or rather, whoever has the Anugraha in complete, in entirety, only those people resort to Prapatti. Sadhya Bhaktehe Prashastyam api Anyatra Upavarnitam. And Sadhya Bhakti is Prapatti again. Its greatness is explained elsewhere. Sadhya Bhaktistu Sahantri Prarabdhasyapi Bhuyasi iti. Okay. I wanted to complete this session today. Let me just take the time. 9:40. Okay. Yeah. Now, quickly, how does one attain moksha? All the karmas have to be extinguished. Okay. Either it is Bhakti Yoga or Prapatti. When they attain fruition, what happens is all the Sanchita karma is destroyed, and both the Bhakti Yogin as well as Prapanna would not accrue any fresh karma, because they will be stationed in perfect jnana. They're supposed to be. So what will be remaining is prarabdha karma, with which this present janma has begun. Okay, but prarabdha karma does not end with this present sharira or janma. It might or it will have many janmas apart from this janma. Okay, now sanchita karma is gone, agami karma is gone. The moment bhakti yoga, or rather the darshana samana karata visa, the moment darshana samana karata is attained through bhakti yoga, or the moment one does prapatti. So sanchita karma, all the past karma, the unopened uh, lots of the karma is destroyed, parcels, and the future karma would not touch the bhakti yogin or prapanna. So what is left out is prarabdha karma, which we can say a sack which has been opened. So all the sacks which were not opened yet are destroyed. And after the Darshana Samanakara or after the Prapatti, the understanding is that a Bhakti Yogin or Prapanna would not accrue fresh karma. But what is pending? Prarabdha karma. Now, Prarabdha karma has to be experienced, which we'll see in the commentary later, but I'm just telling you upfront. So, only when the Prarabdha karma is experienced completely, when it is exhausted by experience, then moksha is possible. For a Bhakti Yogin, he has to exhaust the prarabdha karma by experiencing it completely. It may be several births, it may be 10 births, 15 births, whatever. But prapatti, what it does is, prapatti, when someone performs prapatti, prapatti destroys the prarabdha karma also, keeping only that portion which is required for this janma, which means for a prapanna, at the end of that janma in which he performs prapatti, he will attain moksha. But a bhakti yogin, he will attain moksha only at the end of or the exhaustion of the prarabdha karma, which could be many more, which could be the end of many more janmas. Now, this is the differentiation. Now, we have to appreciate this statement with this in mind. Sadhya bhaktistu sa hantri prarabdhasyapi bhuyasi. Therefore, prapatti, what it does is, it destroys even the excessive prarabdha karma, leaving behind only that portion which is required for this janma. Atayeva prapannanam ananya gatikataya bhagavad kripa yekavalambhitaya eva. Therefore, the prapannas, now the greatness of prapannas is that they resort to only the kripa of Bhagavan. They don't take up any other measure. They resort to Bhagavan alone. They surrender and then they do not make any other effort for the sake of moksha. Harihi sakshat avyavadhanena siddhopaya bhavati. Hari becomes the siddhopaya or he is siddhopaya. Edaduttam bhavati. Upaya dvividaha. Sadhyopaya siddhopayaschi. This we saw already. Upaya is twofold. Sadhyopaya and siddhopaya. Bhakti prapatti sadhyopayo. Bhakti and prapatti are called as sadhyopaya and Bhagavan siddhopaya. Bhakti prapatti tu tat prasadanaika paryavasayinyo iti. Bhakti and prapatti are prapatti. What they do is they make Bhagavan pleased with us, with the sadhaka. So they gain the pleasing of Bhagavan. Antara aditya vidyadi bhedatsa bahuda amata sarvapi brahma vidyayam brahma prapti yogini. The 15th Karika now talks about Bhakti Yoga. The Bhakti Yoga is manifold actually. Now he takes up Shruti and Smritis to explain that. Antaraditya Vidyadi, Adi means etc. Bhedat, beginning with Antaradi Vidya and so on. Bahuda Mata, Bhakti Yoga is manifold. There are 32 Brahma Vidyas. Okay. And all the Brahma Vidyas, they all help a sadhaka to attain moksha. When we do an academic study of the philosophies, we can find the influence of Vedas either directly or indirectly in all the schools. Even Nastika Darshanas, so-called Nastika Darshanas. Like in Jaina school, what they say is that moksha is like going up and reaching the higher planes of whatever. But the idea is already there in the Vedas. In Vedas, what they say is that a Jivatma leaving the body when he does the prescribed karmas, etc., he reaches the worlds of the devas and stays there for some time. Then this idea concept at a very higher level is there, superficial level is there. Advaita Sampradaya also does not ignore this. What they say is this is krama mukti, as this is not the final mukti according to them, but going to other worlds. When a jivatma does upasana, what happens is that when the upasana fructifies, whichever devata is in the upasana, he reaches the world of that devata and stays there, etc. So all these ideas are there in the Vedas. They've been interpreted differently by different sampradaya. But here, Vishuddha says that whatever the upasana, the 32 upasanas or vidyas as prescribed by the Upanishads, when they are taken up by a sadhaka, any one is taken up by a sadhaka, all would ensure that he attains moksha. And this is Bhakti Yoga. These are all basically different forms of Bhakti Yoga. Any one upasana one do that has the same potential as the other upasanas. Bhakti Yoga Prasangat tat Sanghata Brahma Vidya Bhedanaga Antaraditya iti. So Bhakti Yoga Prasangat in the same context, how he says he explains the different Brahma Vidyas. Adipadat Dahara Bhuma Nyasa Vidyade Vrhyante. With Adipada, there are another other forms of Brahma Vidya, Dahara Vidya, Bhuma Vidya, Nyasa Vidya, and so on, which one can find in the Brahma Sutra discussions. Tascha Vidyaha, Trayastrimshatiti Prayovadaha. 33, they say, some people. Vasudevadi Vyuha Pasana Nepi Grihyanti. Then there are other kind of upasanas on the Vyuha Murtis like Vasudeva, etc. et al. Tadaha Bahuda iti. Therefore, he has just mentioned Bahuda, manifold. Sarvapiyam Brahma Vidyaha Brahma Prapta Upakaroti. But all these Brahma Vidyas, upasanas, they ensure that the Jivatma attains Brahman or Moksha. Anena Nyasa Vidyayaha Brahma Vidyatve Sandhihanaana Paranpati Tasyaha Vidyantara Samyam Pradashitam Bhavati. Now, when Ishita Vedas talk about Prapatti, there could be a question whether Prapatti is something which is mentioned in the Vedas or what is the source for Prapattis. Now, here comes a clarification. Prapatti is known as Nyasa Vidya. So this Nyasa Vidya is actually called as, is explained more in the Agamas, scriptures. Now here this is a verse from Vedanta Deshika. He has composed a few texts to establish that Prapatti is prescribed in the Vedas, and he brings the link between Vedas and Agamas. Yadva Shabdadi Bhedad iti Katayata Sutrakarana Samyak Nyasopase Vibhakte Yajana Havanavat Chabda Bhedad Abhaktat Akhya Rupadi Bheda Shuta Itara Samah Kincha Bhinnodikaraha Shigra Praptyadibhisya Jaguriticha Madhupasanado Vivastham. Shabdadi Bhedat, Nana Shabdadi Bhedat, it's a sutra in the Brahma Sutras. Now, there comes the context as to explain the different upasanas or vidyas. Then Sutrakara explains that in the Shruti there are different upasanas or Brahma Vidyas that are being mentioned. And Nyasopase Vibhakte, Nyasa Upasana. This is too technical. We will not go into the exact meaning of the shloka. But what he says is that Yajana, Havana. These two words, they relate to the fire ritual, sacrifice. But yet, they have different etymological roots, Yajana and Havana. In the same way, the Sutrakara, what it does is, he explains that all the upasanas, they are all capable of granting or begetting moksha for the sadhaka. Akhya Rupadi Bedaha, Akhya is the verb or the pratyaya form. Now, what that indicates is that the adhikara for each upasana is different. Some people can take up some upasana, etc. In the same way, Prapatti Nyasa Vidya can also be taken up by those who want moksha at the end of this janma itself, which means their vairagya or their passion to get liberated is so high that they cannot wait to be here in the mortal world for many lives. Therefore, though they're eligible to take up bhakti yoga, they may take up Nyasa Vidya or Prapatti. Why? Because they want to attain the Brahma Anubhava, or rather, they want to attain Sri Vaikunta at the earliest. So that becomes one eligibility for people to take up Nyasa Vidya or Prapatti. Now, this shloka, it elucidates the point that Nyasa Vidya is mentioned in the Upanishads, and that is actually Prapatti. And one of the eligibility is that when a person who is, let us say, eligible to take a Bhakti Yoga, but Bhakti Yoga cannot grant moksha soon, there is a delay, Vilamba, but whoever is not able to bear with the Vilamba, see, this has to be understood at a different level. It is not to do with the vairagya or the lack of interest with Prakriti. Now this is more to do with the bhakti towards Paramatma. Unable to bear the separation or unable to be without the Paramatma Anubhava. So those kind of people who have bhakti, I mean, they're filled with bhakti, what they do is they resort to prapatti so that they can attain moksha at the end of the that janma. In fact, one of the forms of prapatti is that if one wants to attain moksha at the end of the process of prapatti, not even waiting for the body to fall, it's called as artha prapatti. There's a person who wants moksha soon after prapatti is done. Even that is possible. And in Sampradaya, it is believed that a couple of, in the recent past also, a couple of acharyas have performed such prapatti to some people. And when the process was over, prapatti is basically a process which one has to go and do through an acharya. At the end of prapatti, that person has lost, or rather, he had attained moksha. He was no longer there. I mean, the body was there, but he has no, he has attained the moksha. So, such is the power of prapatti. But for that, it requires tremendous vishwasa and unfailing love for God, bhakti for God, etc. Okay. Now, न्यासविद्या प्रपत्ति स्यात् अंगपंचकयोगिनी आनुकूल्यस्य संकल्पः प्रातिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम् रक्षिष्यतीति विश्वासो भोक्तृत्ववर्णनं तथा आत्मनिक्षेपकार्पण्ये अंगप्रपंचकं विदितम्. I think it is it will go to the next class. I was planning to finish this here. Let me give a high level overview and then we'll continue the next class. We saw here the fourth line from the bottom, Anga Prapati, Angi Prapati. Now, Angi means that which has Angas. So the Prapati which is done for the sake of moksha directly is called as Angi Prapati. If you say it as, if we call it as Angi, then it should have Angas. Now, those Angas are being explained here. Anukul, the second part of the first Karika, Anukulyasya Sankalpaha is 1, Pratikulyasya Varjanam is 2, Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso 3, Goptritva Varanam 4, and Atma Kshepa Karpanye. Karpanya is the fifth one, and Atma Kshepa is the Prapatti. Atma Kshepa is Angi, Karpanya, Goptritva Varanam, Maha Vishwasaha, Anukulyasya Sankalpaha, Pratikulyasya Varjanam. These 5 are basically mental modes. They are required on the part of the Jivatma when he does Prapatti. Prapatti is a process. It has to be done through an Acharya before Bhagavan, the idols of Bhagavan, let us say. At that moment, the Prapanna or the person who is going to take a Prapatti has to have all these 5, let us say, mental modes. So Nyasa Vidya is Prapatti basically, and Anga Panchaka Yogini. It has 5 Angas to it. What are they? Anukulyasya Sankalpaha. It's basically taking a resolution that I will abide by the rules of Bhagavan. I will do only those actions which will favor him, which will not cause his, rather which will favor him. And how do we, how can we do that? It is basically following the Shastras. Then Pratikulyasya Varjanam, avoiding all those activities which would draw his displeasure. 2. Rakshishyati Maha Vishwasaha, having tremendous faith or unfailing faith that Paramatma will protect. Then seeking his protection, that we have to request, make a request to him saying that Twamme Gopaita Bhava, you please, you be my protector. And then Karpanya is showing the, having the remorse that I am not eligible to take up any other means. I don't have the ability to take up any other means, upaya, and I have only you as my resort. So if you don't help me, then there is nothing else which can help me. So like having such a kind of attitude is called as Karpanya, and Atma Nikshepa is the actual surrender. So these are the 5 Angas of Prapatti. which we will discuss in the next class. We'll try to finish Dharmabhuta Jnana and take up Jiva, and then there are only 3 more chapters: Jiva Nirupana, Isha Nirupana, and Advaita Nirupana. Hopefully, we should be able to complete in, let us say, a month or 2 maximum. We'll complete. Any questions or doubts? Hope the presentation was clear, audible, and you could see the slides. Of course, if you give a feedback now, I can't do much. Maybe let repeat again, but just checking with you. Hope everything is okay. No questions? Okay then. No questions. Then we will meet again next week. We'll try to finish Dharmabhuta Jnana. Yes, Satyanarayana. Are clear? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Okay. Then, yeah, we will stop here. We'll see you next week. कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः. धन्यवादः. पुनर्मिलामः.